The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Let's have Uganda. As promised, we deliver. We are redefining the social media narrative, asking tough questions and holding your leaders accountable. We are non-partisan and break down having a conversation with Uganda.
We are the Mighty Drive. We hold debates that give you viable solutions. We bring to you people that Ivora is wanting to listen to. We are gender sensitive and give space to the unheard voices. Not forgetting the quote of the day.
We are live on our social media platforms, The Alternative Uganda on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter from Monday to Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Don't miss the debate behind the wheels and our studios.
I am Edgar Matthew Karuhanga.
Farida Vikobere.
And Princess Luwe Delidian.
Expect in-depth analysis, credible, factual and authentic information. We are the Alternative Digitalk.
Real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Tukulikeyo mu masala ga Christmas. A very good morning. Eri mwenna abatukereddeko ku mpewo zaffe za The Alternative Digital. Kamanya Farida Bikobere. Njagala okubategeezera okubajjukiza nti we are live. Gamba mukwano gw'omuganda wo. Tukyali mu gganda lya Christmas bw'oba oli ewaka osobola okutumbula family netuwuliriza. Tugenda kuba tunyumya mpola mpola. We are going to do a year wrap up ebyakola amawulire mu mwaka guno mulamba from January ate paka wano wetugenda okubanga ate tugumalirako. Njaga okubategeeza mutunoonyeko ku Facebook ku Digitalk TV oba The Alternative Uganda zona pages bbiri osobola okubanga ate otusanga n'onyumirwa emboozi yaffe ey'olunaku lwaleero nga bwegenda otambula. Ntudde n'omukulu Kato Tumusime ate ku side eno ntudde n'omukulu Rogers tuli ahawe. Tugenda kubanga tufuna experiences zaabwe za Christmas ate nno tulyoke tugende mu byakola amawulire mu guno omwaka. It is been a long year. So ebimu tetugenda kubikoonako ndowooza bijja kujja mu program yaffe ey'olunaku olw'enkya. Ndowooza ngenda tandika ne Rogers to have a very good morning. Oza kuba tulaba tulyoke tuyingire mu discussion yaffe.
A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very great honor again to be here with Farida and the gentleman Kato. And Christmas was okay, really. This year's was particularly special in a way that it was unusual. I'll explain.
Okay, unusual. You will explain later. Kato, good morning.
Good morning, Farida and Rogers. And thank you for coming. I'm Kato Tumusime, and I'm happy to be here. Welcome back from the Christmas, but we still have celebrations going on. There is church today on the 28th, and the Christians normally call it Chilo Chabana Bato.
Hey.
I hear about it. Nange simanyi. Because abana abato mu kiro kiba ky'abana abato, so many of the baptism parties zibeerawo ko. I think it is referred to the Bible and the rest. why I said Sibimanyi, in our region we don't celebrate Christmas. So ebisinga nange Somako. Yes, we don't celebrate Christmas.
Like there's nothing like Christmas.
You do not do
It's a normal
anything.
day. Yeah,
No,
it's a
as
normal
in,
day.
do you have on a different day or it's
No,
not
no,
there
no,
at
no,
all?
no. We don't celebrate Christmas.
So in your
as
region,
Christmas.
Jesus was not born.
No. Faida tonsala chigambo.
So
The reason we don't celebrate Christmas as the 25th, as the Christmas day, is that it is not related anywhere in the Bible. Even if you read how many scriptures, it is not clear that Jesus was born on the 25th of December. We believe Christ was born. That's a fact. He was born like any other person. But what is not clear to us, and
Is
what
on-
cannot be found and backed up by the scriptures and the Gospels and the rest, is the 25th
particular
day,
day
the
that he was
particular day. Yes. So that's why our region doesn't celebrate Christmas. But because of the earthly things, we find ourselves
Merrymaking with
trying
everyone
to
else.
make celebrations, but not specifically for Christmas, and maybe only if it occurs on a Saturday, that's when we go to church and pray. But our prayers still remain the normal prayers. We don't go for prayers that we are celebrating the birth of Christ. So that's how different our
what
religion
is your
is.
religion in Pulse?
I'm a Seventh-day Adventist.
That's weird. This is my first time.
It's my first time
know
also.
that
I have
you
never
people
had
don't
it.
celebrate.
No, we
Christmas.
don't. But the issue is that specifically where people are always outside, not home, and they have gone to work, and they find it as a season where most of the employees give their employers. The employers give their employees off, and that's when you have time to travel
Yes.
for like a week or two to the village. So that's where we find ourselves gathering at the family level. That fena
You find
batabaddewo
yourselves-
omwaka katwesanze wano. So we have to make it a celebration that we have been able to
gather.
reunite and gather again. But we don't celebrate that during
It's-
Christmas.
You only celebrate as a condition of time.
Like any other day that we can meet as a family and we can have our celebrations. But fete tukuzeze nakenkulu. But from friends I hear 28th kubanga most of my friends used to invite me for the birthday baptism of their babies and the rest. And
So-
what is also different is that we don't baptize young people.
You baptize mature people.
Mature people who are ready to decide
To
for
decide.
themselves
Yeah, that I agree.
and pick a leaf and know what they are believing in. Not that.
But I think-
the babies, they do dedications, I think. Yeah, we do baby dedications.
Yeah, we do baby
Baptize
dedications,
grown
and
ups.
then we leave you to study, understand the Bible, understand the
And then
religion,
decide if you want
understand
to
the
do that.
principles, and enter something that you have an idea about.
I think that is better.
That we have.
We agree.
So what
Yeah,
don't you
Chota-
agree with Christmas?
Chota celebrating as Christmas.
I think with Christmas, I think celebrations on 25th is not because we are sure that he was born on that day, but it was put as a commemoration. Like you can decide that maybe you lost someone and you are not around.
That is
So
your
decide
version,
that-
Rogers.
No, I am saying that is
That
my
is your
opinion.
version and opinion.
Yeah,
But
it's
to the
my
rest of the
opinion.
people, even because I was following some of the preachings about Christmas on the TV, and most of the people, they were not commemorating the birth, but they were celebrating the birth, actually the date Jesus Christ was born. And anyway, that's what they believe.
Fe tukuza lunaku lw'amazaalibwa oli mutuufu. Lunaku lw'amazaalibwa lwa Yesu Kristo lwe tukuza. Katugenda funa experiences zammwe eza Christmas yabadde etya yatambudde etya ku side eno tujja kufuna ey'ekyalo because you traveled, Rogers, you traveled to the village. Kato didn't travel, so he's going to give us how it was
The
here in
Kampala
Kampala.
experience.
The experience. The experience, was it the normal Christmas or chayawukanye muko? Me, I also traveled to the village.
And so you will also give,
But-
you will help
They also add on
No,
the
like
experience.
it was normal. Ebintu byebimu. Tebikyalinga luli ebyedda nti wabangawo okusanyuka kungi nnyo ng'okwetegeka kubi. Naye olwakuba nti kwa akapiira kabaddeyo ku kisaawe.
Akapiira k'ekyalo.
Akapiira k'ekyalo kabaddeyo. Naye ebirala bya Christmas tekyanyuma nze kamba buli oba mu kibuga oba mu kyalo tebikyanyumirako ddala. Kati Rogers ogenda to experience how was Christmas?
Well, Christmas, well, for me as an individual, it was first it had been some time without going home. There were like 3-4 months without going home. So it was, yeah. I was last at home in around August. So it was time also to reunite with people. And when I go, obviously when you go in the middle of the year, most times you're there for like 1 or 2.
1 or 2 days.
So most of the people
are not there even.
Yeah, you know, some are not there. Others you don't have enough time to go through. Now my family is a very big one. Very big. I have like 8 uncles and each one of those has like 10 kids.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a very, very big family. So you can go in one day, even if you see like 10 of them, you've seen like 1% of the whole family. So it was time to see a lot of those. But on an unfortunate side, my uncle's wife lost her brother on the 23rd. So actually on the 25th we were buried. On the day of Christmas, we were buried. I did not go myself, not all of us, but most of the people. Yeah, most of the people. My uncles, even my parents, all of them, most of them went for burial. But nevertheless, we had to celebrate. The rest of us who remained, we went to church, we slaughtered the cows, we ate a lot of those. They call it oksika. What is oksika in English?
Oksika. So for you in your family, you slaughter a cow?
Yeah, we do.
Every Christmas?
Yeah.
Because he told you it's a big family.
It's a big no. Every family.
Every family slaughters. Every house actually slaughters a cow.
But a reasonably young one, not this very old. When you slaughter a big one, you have to be like 4 families sharing.
Then share it.
Yeah, if it's like
if it's
a big one, yes. But the small ones you can share like 2 families and you know, because for us we begin on the 23rd. 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th.
You are eating
27.
You're still eating.
5 days, yes, we are celebrating.
Yes, you are kujangina nawe wamwe. Katuda saidi ya ye Kampala abasigali Kampala munange ensega zo mukibuga. How was it?
Anyway, I think this Christmas most of the people traveled, unlike the past two. The last 2 twalimu COVID and so many people didn't travel, and plus the economy was not doing so well. At least etandise okudengula, and abasinga they had taken time 2 years, 3 years without going there, so this was their time to go. So most of the people went to the villages, and the streets were a little bit empty, except for the nighttime economy. Economy yali sufu. But like any other celebrations, we joined friends, we joined families that are around. Netuli Mere, as usual. Then there were so many Vivuru byalionga bingi. So people who are fan of Vivuru went to Vivuru. Those of us who wanted to shake and reduce on the calories in our bodies, we went and tried to dance around and had fun. So it was really fun. But to say, most of the times I don't normally travel to the village on Christmas, except last year. And the Christmas seasons that have found me in Kampala, and not ever dena vibe ngeza bulijjo. I think it is because of the economy, or when COVID hit us, I think people learned a lesson, and they learned how to minimize and save. So they were a little bit frugal. Not unlike the other ones previously. Because 2018 found me here, and it was vibe on vibes. But unlike this one, abantu babadde bakakkamunyo tebakyamuse nnyo, n'abantu babadde batono to say,
n'abasigadde wakati balina zibatwala
basigadde ne waka nga tebalina zibatwala out. Abagenzeko ku beach ne bagendayo batono, but the rest of us had fun. I don't know about the rest who stayed home, but we had fun.
So kati gwe fun yo wajifunira waawe?
I had my colleagues, so we went to a friend I know, some caprice. You know, we always tell you that always support a friend's hustle.
Yeah.
Mkwano go baba tunda sati, at least nguleko bili. Kukubanga sente zino sigala mumwe unless nga choyagala oli tachina mukwano go. That's when you can go. So we had a friend who had invited us in a some kalika shop and went. So that's where we were. I think up to around midnight. From midnight, then we had to change to choose some vibe to some to some club to dance around, and we had fun. Sure. It was fun.
Surely you had fun.
So that's how we spent our 25th and 26th as well. We also went supported
26th era yali vibe ku vibe.
But twavayo buchali at least.
Nyaga kutuko mwe n'abatafuna birabo ku 26th temufaayo fena bichali bakatonda.
Nange safu na birabo.
Mwenye kufuna next year badnange.
So Kato, sorry to cut you. Kato said something that made me think. He said that when you have a friend doing something,
you support
them. And he used the word that the Kamani has to keep from within.
Hey, before you give it to the rest.
I was thinking, when we have, this is not to offend anyone. When we have people give jobs to their brothers and cousins and all that, we usually say, that is not fair, it should be on merit and all that. But we have that inherent feeling of, if I am doing this, it is more likely that I will want it to benefit the people closest to me.
Yes.
I don't know, where do we draw a line that this one is because of my relatives and people around me, my friends, that it must benefit my people, and this one has to go out and benefit everyone.
Supporting a friend's hustle is chaukana kukoloja.
Kukoloja chari
that's what I want to understand. Because now you see, as human beings, you have it at the back of your mind that if, for example, you have a job and you have a son or a niece or a nephew who is unemployed, there are chances that you're going to have to
employ them.
To give them the opportunity
but
first.
That is not supporting a hustle of a friend.
No,
well, you know, there is a very big difference. And nange change you get the supporting a hustle, a friend's hustle. Because when you are supporting a friend's hustle, you are putting in something and you are supporting somebody and getting what they are selling or dealing in. If it's services, katugambe, in laundry, and you have your suits that need to be cleaned, or and and you pay them.
So
you understand? That's a service. They are offering services. But where Gulengato and Farida is selling a shoe, get the money. You have your money. Go and pay and buy a shoe. Not that you ogenda gende wa Farida mugambe penga tell you because I'm your friend. Which is what you get my point. And the other difference is that when you are employing people, I think there are things you consider. Maybe the skill of the person, the knowledge about the work, and their experience. And like when you're buying a shoe from Farida, you will not ask Farida whether she has the experience of selling shoes. You get?
Yes.
You find a lot of conflict of interest when you are employing your relatives or friends without considering their ability and capability of performing what you want to do. Even where people are qualified. And me, I have my uncles who employ like the rest of our cousins. But before you get that kind of job,
you have to prove.
You have to prove that you are worthy getting that job. Because if he's saying that you want a master's degree, whether you have a first class, but you don't lack the master's, you will not get it. And they will put you on interviews, of course interviewed by other people that even don't know your relationship, but you must qualify that you are worth getting that job. So I will be byawukana kuchine cha Rogers ina mukwano gwe kato ali awe nse mukubye namwamba jangu wano ngenda kunyiga because I am the HR here ya de kato taina papulazi mukiriza for example kola mulimu nja kuyisa nzaga bemirimu. Yeah, that's why it is different.
ate nammwe ba friends baffe abalina bu hustle sete tujja basupportinga nga mutunda ebintu ebitali ku mutindo
kituufu
if your products tebimatchinga ne byetwagala temutunyiigira
ate temutuseera nnyo because you want to support your hustle.
I agree on that one.
Tuseera nnyo because we want to support your
Agenda nakugamba gwe muntu wange.
oyagala onzize mu kyalo
But I think of 20 you're selling it twice the
amount
Price.
at 40 awo mbangenda kuyitawo mbeera nga atakumanyi nkuyitako buyisi naye katutunuulire ku bintu ebyakola amawulire mu guno omwaka gwe tugenda okumaliriza mu January around 50th widespread ya story ya Kakwenza we yaviira yawo okubeera nga abadde tokyalinnyo olw'okuba yakola tweet ku First Sun katwagala tutunuulire impact yeyo story eri ku human rights okubeera nga zikuzibwamu ko waziweebwa ekitiibwa mu Uganda oba okubeera nga ate zigendera ddala wansi mu trenches its impact Kakwenza impact yo yakola etya ku bannayuganda oba eri government ya Uganda ngenda tandikire n'eri Kato.
Wewe nnyo Farid. You see Kakwenza's story and tweet ne tocha nezo marks zibalaga nga aina
Yes.
allegedly nga zakolebwa the security personnel. That wasn't the first incident kulabikako bwetyo mu mawulire.
Yeah.
About human rights violations and degradation and actually tugambe violations of human rights as a whole byatandika dda kuva emabega because you remember the days we batandika okukwatira the suspects abaali benyigidde mu kutta AIGP Andrew Felix Kawesi n'abasiraamu the Muslim sheikhs abo you would see them being paraded before court naye nga tebalina nagatambula seeing their fresh wounded and nobody was caring
And
about
the funny
it.
part was they were suspects.
Yeah.
They were
Not
still
convicts.
suspects. They were still suspects, and I don't know whether our courts are sensitive about these human rights or bagala kutwejjako baba bakijjako bwejja. Because under the laws of Uganda, the Constitution, Article 28, provides for the presumption of innocence. Ne bwe bansanga nga nkuba Rogers oli here slapping him, it's on camera, it's recorded, but I have that presumption of innocence. It is a court of competent jurisdiction that must try me and find me guilty of slapping Rogers, considering the defenses that can be available on my side and maybe under what circumstances just slap him. Or it is me to admit and say I am guilty because I have slapped him. That's the difference we have. And before a competent court sits to prove me wrong that I actually slapped Rogers, then I am innocent. I am still a suspect under that instance. But in our Ugandan context, courts have been reluctant on finding out whether they must prove me to convict me or it is to those that have the power to first punish me for being a suspect first of all. I've said it so many times here that everybody in Uganda is a capable
suspect
and is a candidate of being a suspect for any offense. But Kakwenza, what helped him first was that he was able to speak for himself. Unlike the other suspects, for those terrorism offenses, because they did not have the audience like Kakwenza had. Because Kakwenza being a writer, Kakwenza being a human rights defender, Kakwenza being vocal and being a person who used social media a lot, his story was quick to break the news, and so many people were attracted by the attention of the photos they saw about Kakwenza, his message itself, and what has been happening. There was a Yaringa sparking stone at the time. Okulabisa biri ebyemabega that people had ignored. Kubanga most of them used to say, kasita bato omuntu, ignoring the fact that they are still suspects. Tebanaba kuba charging, so that they are convicted. So get by suspects. And those the lawmakers, the government itself and its officials have not done so well to educate the people so that they can differentiate who can be called a criminal and who can be called a suspect. Because it's never bakutwala mu court and the court that has the jurisdiction that is competent that they convict you to have committed a certain offense, you're still a free man. But omuntu bagenda ne bamutwala mu court, first of all, nasaba bail. Ne bagimumma oba ne kale katugambe bagimumye. Then he's again remanded. He or she is again remanded. But still a cigarette suspect. Because courts have not pronounced themselves and convicted him of having committed that offense. Oyo bagimumye. Then omuntu omulala ajja kujja in court, prays for bail and he's granted bail.
Yes.
When they give you bail and when court pronounces itself about bail, it doesn't mean that you are a free person.
Yeah.
Rogers, you agree with me on that?
Yes.
But so many Ugandans don't know that one. When omuntu bagenda ne bamuwa bail n'atuuka ku kyalo and everybody is castigating the advocate, the lawyer that was representing you to get that bail, bagamba ono lawyer awagira bazi ba misango. You get my point? Not forgetting that when they give you bail, they're actually giving you an opportunity because you are still a suspect. You are still presumed innocent. Ogende ozengo ewake. Because there are also reasons that you must qualify to be granted that bail. Naye abasinga tebakimanyi. Muntu bamuwa bail n'adda ewaka and everybody wants to do mob justice on them. Yatutira gundi, and why is court even forgiving him of the offenses he did? You understand where we get it wrong. You understand where we get it wrong. And nobody is... And many times you find a lawyer representing the opponent, like we should call them. He's your obi mwasoma wa mwali ba mkwala. But because you are representing two parties, onotayagalo muguzeko. But they are in the same profession. They are colleagues.
You're in the same trade. You're doing the same things.
And if you consider that,
Bo sharing points zange zibadde zigenda okumpisawo ku musango.
when they was sharing, you see, there are two lawyers. Actually, there are three lawyers. We all got through the same law school. Together, Law Development Center, and we get the skills, and we are all enrolled, and we are advocates. Omu nafuka mulamuzi, omulala nafuka, if it's a criminal matter, nafuka state attorney, omulala nafuka defense lawyer. Na if fena twasoma bintu byebimu, and everybody will represent their side of the story, and we leave it to the judge now to decide who is on the wrong side and who is on the right side. Naye kudda ku nsonga yange nti nobody is concerned about educating the people the importance of giving a person bail or police bond at the time. Because most of the people take it in the sense that once you are given police bond or bail,
Free.
you have been set free. Genda mbukote mukiriza agende aliye butala.
Aliyo butala.
Siwe basita. And so many people get angry in the villages because they don't understand the essence of giving or granting this person bail.
Yeah.
That's where we got instances of mob justice coming to rise and rise and rise. You get? That is also a failure on part of the government and the leaders that have power. Now today kunsonga ya Kakwenza. So when Kakwenza broke the story, so many people pinpointed the first son.
Yes.
And he himself did point to the first son.
Yeah, he himself, because he knows who did what they did to him. He knows. Because he was facing them. You get? The commander-in-chief, the president of the country, did not say anything about such kind of allegations on the son. Because this is the son. Before him being a general and the commander in the army, he's the son of the president. He kept quiet. What does that one say? That the president maybe is siding with him. Whatever he did, he's siding. Because when you keep silent about the injustices, then you are also siding with the oppressor. Yes. So that was the taking points for me. And we did not stop on that incident alone. We have had so many abductions, drones zeyongedde in this year. I think unlike before, NM 2021 zali massive. Zali
I
massive.
think
A
it
lot of
mostly
them.
began in 2020.
2020,
Towards the
21,
elections in
and
2021.
22. Now is at 22. They have been so
Towards
massive.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's one incident culminating into another and another and another. Yakakwenza yagulawo mwa.
Stories zino bwe zikola amawulire tezirina impact yonna gye zireeta nti oba oppressor agenda kutyamuko atandika okulegeyamu kaganga wano muba badde nkisukkiriza. Like situation esigala nga bwebadde oba it even increases.
When they break such stories, of course, so many people come to comment about it, even using words that are not sweet at all on the side of the government. But you know, we have to remember that we are dealing with a dictatorial government. That one is a fact. And dictators will not give you any chance or any opportunity to keep castigating them. That's when you will see the president himself coming on television and telling people, you don't know what you're talking about, shall crash. And he will use all those words. Those who are saying bad things about us, they are enemies of our country. Why do you have to go to America and the UK and start, you know, painting a bad image on our government? This is your government. You had you get. So we have talked about so many things concerning violation of human rights, but we haven't seen things change. Because what we talk about this week, it will happen next week. The other week, we are ending there. So we are not seeing any
That has
change
kind
at
of
all.
become normal.
Yeah, it is normal to some people.
The only problem is that when it happens to a low-key,
Nobody
they
is
have
concerned.
notes.
Nobody is concerned.
No one knows, you know, you either go, sometimes I think
Some
of them
people
have
die.
even died from there. And that it is done.
It is
I mean,
normal. Nobody
the
is
abduction,
caring
your
about
family
it.
does not know. No one knows where to begin. No one knows follow up. So you just go and die and it's over.
Nebetegeera tebalina kye
Threaten
basobola
you
okukola.
and
Yeah.
they cannot do anything.
So that's how terrible the situation is.
So that's
or
how
has
we are
been
going
in
to
this
live
year.
back at the
And the funny part is, I think for most of them actually, those have not. There are very few who stand out. Like you saw this president of NID, Kabuleta. President Kabuleta.
Yeah.
You saw him when he was taken. I think even the first person I saw posting that was a random person on Twitter, not even an activist. Yeah, so that one had...
Because of his profile.
because of his... when Kakwenza went, he was a student at university, but
So
he
he
was
had
also
colleagues.
a writer.
Yeah.
He was an activist. So at least he had a small pool of
He
people
had a
who knew
background
about him.
that could attract the
So
masses.
they would make
to
noise.
fight
And
for
I
him.
think even when he was taken, his story actually, I think, got much attention when he came out and did that
And,
interview.
yeah, and
They
Displayed,
video
yeah,
one.
and
Yes.
displayed his
the
torture
whatever.
marks.
I think that is when most people actually jumped onto the case and said this cannot be happening on our watch. But even if he had not done that, I have a good reason to feel that we would not even know that Kakwenza
That
actually
Kakwenza
was.
had
But
been
what,
tortured.
how could we know?
So
How could we know?
So I think that is the indication that this could actually be happening at a much massive scale than we know.
And it is not known by
Than we
anybody.
know. Because there are just a few isolated cases. Even when we were taken, the chance we
Talk
had is
about
because
it.
we also had some kind of cameras around us. That was the only
And
thing.
then the population had some
Had,
attention
some
and
about us. So you can imagine if it had not been because of that, it could have been much worse. So I think we need to pay much attention to those small details. I think there are a lot of people. And if you look at most of the messages that were given on Christmas, if you look at most of the clergy,
yes,
They
they
were
have
talking
actually
about-
done so well.
they were mostly talking about all those things. They're taking-
Abductions,
and obviously
kidnaps.
for them, I think they cannot, I don't know if they cannot afford to be partisan. I don't know if you are a religious person, you're not supposed to have a side.
Anyway, we wanted to ask that one to
I
religious
don't-
people.
Yes.
I don't think
I
you
don't
are
know, I
allowed
don't
to
know.
wanted to
have-
ask
most of
that
them
one
were-
to
was-
some religious people.
religious, spiritual leaders, tebalina kubeera na side.
I think that is also wrong. Because, okay, you don't necessarily need to have a side, but you need to have a point, a stand.
You
Say, look,
need
But you
to
need
talk
to have
about
fun, you
issues
need to
that
have a
affect the
voice,
community
yeah.
that you are leading at that
Ojjayo
level.
ensonga n'ogamba kino kituufu kino
This is
kiri.
wrong.
Kituufu.
Because most of them were only speaking, we hear that there are abductions, that there are people who are in prisons for who do not
They were
even know why
hearing
they are
only,
there.
they didn't know.
Because that's what most of them were speaking.
waliyo abali mukomera nga tebamanyi na lwaki babakwata naye nga baluddeyo
nga bagamba we hear this that we hear, but we have been here with
They don't want to face the reality. And
we
they
live with you in the society, and these are the people who actually have the voices, who represent the people. Look, even if you support the government, I have no problem with someone supporting
but
the
talk
government.
about bad
But if
as
something
bad.
is wrong, speak about it. It is wrong. This cannot be happening on my watch.
That's a contribution you can offer to
It's the only
this
thing you
country
can
and
say.
the generation.
Well,
And actually, it is good for your own government that you support, if you support it. If you talk about the bad things it is doing so that it can change.
yes, it would be in their favor.
It is in your favor.
So I think a lot of this has happened, and the people who are privileged have decided to stay silent. Who should actually make the difference? And that also cripples us the more, because the longer it takes, if eventually it's going to come to your relative, it's going to come to your son or daughter or sibling or something like that. And if you think that keeping quiet will only keep you in good books of the government, which it probably does, eventually you have to face the reality that actually there's always a tipping point to something.
But in Uganda here, even when you don't talk, bajja kukuchima. Neboyogera bajja kuchima. So really, just say what you want to say. What is it at heart?
So I think we need to get a little more serious about that. And I've had a lot of people who are saying, I don't like politics. I am not a politician.
But I'm not a politician.
It's a dirty game. It's this and that. I decided to keep silent. But the problem is everything is political. From the food we eat.
Nebonotwala omwana w'omudwaliro okomawo weemulugunya tebabadde naddagala. Now you are talking about the politics.
But you don't want to stand and say that this person has been corrupt, they have taken a medicine because you feel it's risky, but eventually your son is going to die because they are not medicine in the hospital.
Yeah, because most people think that being a politician and participating in politics is being a candidate and you are voting.
Exactly.
They forget that even participating in supporting Rogers, who is standing for a position, is joining politics. Talking about lack of medicine, poor education, poor health, and the rest.
It's political.
It's political in
Everything
nature.
is political.
Talking about Facebook that has been closed, that's political.
Because it has been a political making. So I think people need to get a little more
the
focused.
difference of
I think people need to understand, and I think this is now our job to also tell them that look, everything we are doing is political. From this school that your children go to, if you do not speak about the quality of education your children are looking, it is to the effect that they are going to get bad quality, and how does that?
And it will affect the generation itself and the country and the production.
So you must speak about that to the medical care that we have. If you do not speak about better medical care and services and maybe medical insurance and all that, it is going to affect you. It is when you talk about maybe, retirement, that someone has worked for their whole life. This government has literally been benefiting from their bonds and their sweat and all that.
Talk about the overwhelming taxes on food stuff.
It's only fair that
the
when you
matchbox
retire,
on the petrol, everything you retire is at home. The soap itself, the soap that we grew up buying, singa bitano oba 10.
Ekitole kya sabbuuni
Singa
kyalinga ky'ebitaano naye kati kya 5 oba 2.
Omuzigo wa sabuni kati guli gumeka kwa sabuni. It's about 7,000 or 8,000. You get? That's all because it is affected by the political setup.
Ate abantu balina okumanya nti no war can overstay. Naye abammwe temwagala kuboogerako. Ate n'otunuulira oli yakamalayo emyaka 10 n'omukubirira yannagaluddeyo aveeyo awe chance abaana abato. Naye ng'owali abaddeyo for 20 years.
And that is common at the parliamentary level.
Exactly.
Even from the side of the opposition itself, we have MPs that have been in power for over 15 years.
Ate munakyemalira namulwanyisa ntya nga ndi wabweru naye nga gwe kennyini oyogera ku nakyemalira mbwe aludde mu ntebe naye nga ate naawe obadde mu 25 years okyali mu parliament.
Because we grew up we twasomeranga primary nga batugamba qualities of a good leader, exemplary. So which example are you giving to the rest of the people? A good leader must be an example to the rest.
Trustworthy.
All the rest. So if you are not an example at your level and you have stayed in that parliament for over 20 years and you are still saying that omukulu aluddewo mu ntebe kati
kumbe naawe oluddewo mwena babiri mwefudde banakyemalira
ekisinga okunnuma it is when it comes to the woman parliamentary seat ya district.
Yes.
Chara nagendako n'abakalakata myaka 25.
Buchangaze mbera mtu Kadaga yali ku ntebe
25 and she's there and they are claiming and they are claiming that seat and position and they also claim that position was put in place to empower the women.
Exactly.
And are we still empowering
the women? Mwana mwala na inge chifoto uchiwadde muntu towaddeyo muntu mukisagamba can't.
And they are not even nurturing those to become.
It is one thing to be there and maybe you are nurturing because they don't want competition at the first place.
Kati amanyi yena mnurturing agenda kujja
kwa kwesimbeko atagenda kuwangula because you have a stay.
And there's a lot of I come from a district, Chiboga actually, and this Nankabiro was our woman MP. I literally knew Nankabiro since I was born. Because in fact, at one point when we were growing up, I didn't know the people leaders change.
You are man.
I knew.
No, but
it is Nankabiro, and here is the funny thing. One that actually would annoy me the most, that most of the times, even with the old people, you'd sit around with them. I had a grandfather, he passed away. But for the most part, you'd be talking to them and say, look, she's good. She has been good. Let's say she's good. Because he wanted to hear that she was good.
She was good, okay.
Yeah, they were friends. And so I was telling him, when she is good, she should be nurturing people who should be coming after her.
So that they can also be good like she is.
Nurture, what is that for? She's around.
She's enough.
I was like, so what happens when she goes? She's like, well, we will figure it out. Like, no, that is a problem. And a lot of these people actually feel...
That is creating a vacuum in the leadership position.
Okay.
No, I unlike our place, at least you have had changes here and there. But the funny bit of it is that this one would come, lead for this Chisanja, the next one, Nebamuangula, Olina Nada, Chidako Nakoma, yeah, it has now changed to another.
But even that way, at least
you are seeing a different face.
They were the same faces but interchanging.
There we can arrange that.
Solo gamba nti oli bwaba yaliko at least yakola akolako okusinga nga muntu yomu
Kola is a different issue.
Around January 10th, schools reopened in Uganda after a long lockdown. At around 25th January, njagala wrapping up the whole month of January, Major General Kasigas was appointed as the Deputy Inspector General of Police. 31st January, omukulu first son General Muhozi ya visiting a Kigali ndoza yeyo topic tugenda okwogera ko ziri tugenda zibuusa amaaso tuogere ku visit ya omukulu Muhozi Rwanda onono yagendererwa kyali kigenderera kugulawo border katwagala tumanye how has it been like impact yakyo nti Rwanda eguddewo border, who was affected more and who has benefited.
Well, I think as an individual, he did go to the president of Rwanda, and I think subsequently actually the borders were opened.
Yeah. After his visit.
So I will give it to him if it was his making. I think I'll give it to him because I think leaders are supposed to do that kind of. You're supposed to do the broker kind of role. You have to marry the two countries, make sure that you are in good standing with your neighbors. So I think I'll give it to him if he did that. Although for one thing, that except for the fact that he's a general, I don't know if it's in the role of a general to be the one to broker up peace agreements and all that. I don't know if it's in their job description.
Maybe ensonga ezalizigaza obodo okumala emyaka 3 zali za security.
That is what
in his line of work. I think that must have been. Yeah, I think that was actually a very good move. I think a lot of people, we have said quite a number of things about General Muhozi.
Yeah.
And some things are not in good. He's not in good books with most of the Ugandans, but I think that one he did.
That was a plus.
Yeah, he did actually achieve. and we'll give him that. And I think that was more important because most of our exports do not go beyond, I think, the East African region. We mostly export to the countries in our neighborhood. So when those neighborhoods, you saw when Kenya was blocking our maize and I think
eggs.
milk and eggs and all that, you saw the effect it had on us. I come from the cattle corridor. There was a time that literally you'd have to only pour milk. You have to milk because otherwise the cows
You
will
want
die.
to save your cows.
Otherwise the cows will die with the milk. So you have to milk it, but then
But
also
power.
power it because you don't have the market. And it was having a very big toll. And if you see most of those people, that's actually their only source of income. Omuntu agenda n'alima season ye, they plant their maize. Nga bamanyi kyekyo kyokka kye bataddeko amaaso bwe banaakungula bajja kugenda batunde basasulire fees abaana baabwe.
And they also afford the basic
necessities of livelihood. So I think it was important. It's important that we are in good books with the neighborhood. And if he did broke that, I think he should be given that. It was a very good move.
Kato, ku Borden webanga nzigale, who is affected more? Uganda, Rwanda?
I should say we are both affected as countries.
I think
Single
mostly Rwanda.
Mostly Rwanda.
Lwaki?
Yeah, mostly Rwanda.
Lwaki?
Because ebisinga ebyamaguzi ebigenda e Rwanda biyita wano mu Uganda. And Uganda becomes nearer compared we babibise Tanzania direct to their country. But to say the visit of MK actually made him a good thing in the politics of the country, as so many referred to him as the best diplomat we had, somebody who could reunite the two parties that
After
had
3
been in a
years.
conflict for 3 years. Actually, when he came back from Kigali, and you know they say Kagame, President Kagame is the uncle. Most of the people saw him as somebody who is capable of reuniting what has failed for years. And that was a spark for him to be on the scene of politics. As we should say, that was
Actually,
his limelight in the political arena of this country.
Yeah.
And because he was successful in intervening and the reopening of that border, and there was his friends and the riverbirds, I should call them, gave him an opportunity to also venture and see how best he can be part of the political setup of this nation. I think we shall not disagree on that one. But to say, however much Rwanda was being affected at its level and on the importation and exportation of its goods, but Uganda itself was also affected because we sell a lot of things to Rwanda than Rwanda sells to us.
Yes,
That one is a fact.
Yeah.
And we had an issue of, because when you look at the border of Rwanda and Uganda, we have so many Rwandans who have land in Uganda who come and do the economic agriculture, the agriculture bit of it in Uganda and sleep in Rwanda.
Yeah.
The same time we have the Ugandans who stay in Uganda,
But
but their farms, their gardens, their foodstuffs are in Rwanda. They are all cut out. We have families that are only separated by the boundaries. This is Uganda, this is Rwanda. But you find your father is staying in Rwanda and you are staying in Uganda.
But you are in
But because of the closure of the borders and the conflicts between the two countries, you are affected.
Yeah.
So the family ties are being broken because of the differences that I should say were partly on the two heads of the states.
Omuntu yandyebuuziza was Muhoozi the best candidate okubanga ajjawo enkeeyana zino.
You see, at the end of it all, we don't want to look at who is the best candidate. We want to see the result.
You want to see the border reopen.
You want to see the border reopened oba singa baweerezayo Rogers n'aba successful border ne bagigula, we wouldn't have cared. What we wanted was the reopening of the border. But to say that anyway, ngenda chireta mwana, and I don't know what Roger thinks about it or what you think about it.
Roger will comment after your submission.
Yeah, but I feel we have failed as the East African community itself. Because the community that organizes the how many countries that we are now,
about 7.
5 or 7 now, had failed to harmonize the two countries that fall part of the East African community.
It failed.
Yes, it failed completely, and they gave up, and that was no longer a story to make news. that the Ugandan-Rwandan border is crossed. What made it funny was that no, what made it funny was that at some point the Ugandan side opened, but the Rwandan side did not open.
Yes.
So because of the anger, Ugandans also closed again. And the East African community leaders and the members, we had who? Ndaishimi, the one of Burundi. I think he's still a chairman. He was in his Burundi sleeping, and nobody was talking about it. Now this one brings the question of, has actually East African community helped? Is our membership in the community of East Africa as Uganda helpful to us?
I think it's Farida did mention that maybe the reason why it took so long is because the countries that were at loggerheads are the most powerful in the
And the leaders,
which I do not know if it's true or not, except for the problem.
because it can be true, because most of the other presidents, you talk about President Ruto, he was referring to President Museveni
As the father of the region.
father of the
I
region.
think that issue was mostly personal than national.
Yes,
the close of the border, we must agree.
It was between the two
it was
parties,
literally
the
between
two presidents.
the presidents, not the country. The rest of us were only collateral damage. But I think it's also problematic to have someone feel like they are more bigger than the region. Because imagine you had the US feel like it's bigger than the whole of the members of the G20. You know, all those countries, and maybe the European countries, and it feels bigger, so it cannot respect what the others are doing because it's more powerful.
Yeah.
Imagine what would come out of that. It's what Russia is doing right now because it feels it's powerful
Feels powerful
than all of its neighbors, and it starts invading, and you do not respect the sovereignty of another state. So I think that is problematic. What we must do is make sure that the region itself, one, is independent, and two, it has structures that are more important and more powerful than the states themselves. Because I do not see how I wake up as an individual, here broke as I am, to go and broke a peace agreement between Sudiru and Vitaturi. I mean, I am powerless. I have no position, I have no stand. And that is literally what can be said about the East African community. What we have is the name. And I think we are working towards a better East African community. It is much better now than it was. I think it's a work in progress, but we need to do better to make sure that society, the community as a whole, is independent, and no one person is going to bully another or disrespect the sovereignty of another state because of what they are feud with another individual. It is the same thing that is happening with the African Union. Literally, things are happening all around, and
nobody is keeping quiet. Nobody is talking about anything that is affecting the country.
The thing that has been happening in the Tigray and Ethiopia has literally failed the African Union. It is only this gentleman, the former president of Kenya, who's trying to do
Uhuru Kenyatta.
Who's trying to
even in Congo, he's the one who is trying
to bring back the peace deals. So I think it's important that those institutions are strengthened, and we'll be speaking here at the national level and say the parliament is not independent, this is not independent, so we cannot independent.
So we cannot make,
so if
we cannot have independent entities in a country, it means you cannot have them at the community level as East Africa.
Because if someone does not respect their parents at home,
how do you expect to respect you back?
The neighbors. So it's a saying that charity begins at home. I think the residents themselves must respect the community as a whole, but also respect the sovereignty of each of the states. If you have a personal feud with someone, sort it personally.
Yeah.
I don't see how.
And after that visit,
visit
of MK to Kigali, we saw President Kagame visiting Uganda.
Yes.
On his birthday.
His birthday, after how many years without coming to Uganda? So that was good for the nation, the two countries, I should say.
I think Muhozi
it was a tick. At around February 9th, the International Court of Justice yakola ruling ngeragira Uganda okusasula obukadde bisatu 325 million $, eri Congo olw'okuba nti yakolera activities mu territories za DRC in a case filed in 1999. So katwagala tulabe already mulina bye musasula, but still you have your army in Congo. Already mwine sente zemusasula tebanazimala nayo basasulako mu August. By the way, they started paying in August. Ne basasulako ekitundu. But you have started paying mwine sente zemusasula, but still you have your army in Congo. What is it that is in Congo nti Ugandan army tesobola kuzewala? It cannot sit in Uganda negamba nti kati Congo tujesonye. What is there that President Museveni is so much interested in tasobola kujja majege Congo?
But I should say that is on a security setup.
Because
when your neighbor is not safe, you are not safe. When there is insecurity in your neighbor's home, then you don't have security in your home.
But there is insecurity here in Uganda. Why are they?
But there is insecurity in DRC Congo.
So why do you pay much attention to that in Congo? Only one in Uganda.
I should give you this example. We used to have families at a local level that didn't have food at all. They were doing so badly, and the famine was eating them so bad. But because some families had some food to sustain themselves and maybe have surplus for sale, and maybe they can stock something in their gardens, people who did not offer some food to the families that were sleeping hungry, they could face these families, attack them, and steal what they are even keeping for use in the next days. And when people learned that trick, they would call them, at least the families would divide themselves and be like, this week njakuwe toke, only week njakuwe vijanjaro. So they tried to minimize crime. And what they used to do was that when this family, the head of the family would come to pick this bunch of banana, they would uproot a banana tree. And in about some time, this family was also able to support itself.
To stand with itself.
You understand? So the same applies to the insecurity in DRC. The same year we had an attack at Parliament and CPS by the ADF. That was the spark of this Operation Shuja in Congo. What I don't agree with is that when we send the troops in DRC, what they do at the end of it all is mostly for their personal interest and gains. It's not for the gain of the country. Why they have been sent there is not what they fulfill. You get? And that's how we have this debt. Whoever singer what we read about.
Paying it as a country.
And we are paying it as a country because at the end of it all you will see newspapers, New Vision and Daily Monitor say that each Ugandan is owed this amount of money because of the atrocities, because of the bad deeds that were done by the soldiers of Uganda in Congo. Because they say they stole their gold, timber and the rest. It was about looting at a massive scale. And most of the people are still here and we know them. The news talk about them. We read about them, but nobody is concerned. But we are facing the burden because of the bad things that were did by individuals. And that's how we go. And that's how we are keeping on bringing the same people. Because those who are now conducting the Operation Shuja in DRC, and they read about the individuals who stole the timber and the gold in Congo for their personal gains and personal use, and they have gained a lot of wealth, are not being condemned at all, or they are not being cautioned or maybe brought to book so that they can pay what they stole. It creates a bad image on them. So we shall face the same challenges in the near future. If we don't have people in that Operation Shudia who are brought up so well. Abataina mururu.
Rogers, do you also believe?
So we shall face the same.
You are also not safe. So also stabilizing your one neighbor no lioko de wo. What is
safe at least?
I think there's kind of a contrast between those two. One is, well, we do have insecurities. But now it has also been said that the source of the insecurities are linked to the people in Congo. So it's only, I think, reasonable that if you're approaching a problem, you also
look
deal
at the
with
source.
The roots. Yes, you deal with the roots as much as you deal with the branches. So the insecurities here are quite isolated. And they are easy to deal with. But that cannot stop if you do not go to the source where they come from. And even away from just to secure our own selves, it's important that, because today is me, tomorrow could be you. One time we will probably need Congo in a time of a crisis. And if we had not done a good job, maybe they will not help us then. So it's a give me, I give you, it's a give and take. But also we must also recognize the fact that countries always do where there is also interests for them. Yeah. If you see, I'll give you an example. We have most of the American corporations and Bill Gates actually fronting the thing of the GMO in Africa. You know about that. And that is mostly based at controlling food security. That when they give you those crops, you plant them. You cannot plant others unless you have the fertilizers that their companies only can provide. So literally what they exact is hegemony. That you need them for you to survive.
For you to survive.
And that is for their interest. It's not for us. So we must also...
And maybe before we talk about that, we leave the issue of Operation Shujaa. We saw Uganda sending, they had a budget and they were actually planning. Did the road construction start in DRC Congo?
It did actually.
That was for Uganda.
We built a road.
But that was not on a security level.
Well, they said that the places are impenetrable. Congo has a very thick forest.
They are impenetrable, so what was our interest as Uganda? What was our interest in Uganda? Because when you look at the roads that we have, for example, in the city center Kampala, you look at their state. And it raised so many questions, including me personally. At a personal level, I was so angry about the government failing to actually work on the roads in the city, as small as they are. But they are trying to build new roads in DRC, a different state.
When it's about a national interest, for example, let me give you an example. We have the US funding almost 80% of our Ministry of Health.
Yes.
Do you think the US is more safe in terms of health?
No.
They also have issues, but they know there's something that they get out of their donation. Of course, it's not free. That's a problem that we have. I saw Kaseja the other day say that he is okay borrowing. You see, most countries have to go at least up to 50%. The guy is like, even 100%.
100%
I don't mind. And the problem is they forget that even as we borrow, even if it's given for free, there's always something we have to pay back.
Yeah.
So,
but Rogers, when you want to compare the health status of US and Uganda, at least we should say they have issues in their health system, but at least they are minimal.
No, the point of comparison.
No. I want to compare. No, I want to compare now the roads that we have in Uganda and then constructing new roads in Congo. Are we prioritizing the people of Congo so they can have good transport?
The Ugandans who trade in Congo. So he was not doing it to promote the transport sector of Congo,
don't we have,
but he was actually promoting the
Don't
trade.
we have Rwandans and Kenyans who trade in Uganda? Have their governments come and built roads in Uganda so that their traders can get good
because
infrastructure?
Their traders have not complained about the Ugandan roads.
I think personally, no, the point of comparison between the US and Uganda wasn't because we must be the same standard, but to show that there is something they are getting from us.
Okay.
There's always another hand benefiting, and we must agree that we also are getting something.
We must agree.
I probably don't know. I can't say it for a fact, but I think there's something we also get from the Congo, whether as a country or as some individuals.
Yes, there has some individuals. But we saw the president crying out loud when he was in Kasese opening that Mpondo market, and most of the Ugandans were actually making statements to him. They were making reports to him that when they want to trade in DRC, they are charged money. And when the people from Congo are trading in Uganda, they are trading for free. And now that creates a conflict of interest. At least you should do what you want to be done to you.
I think that is only. And I saw a newspaper article that I said that 360 kilometers of the roads in Kampala have lived their lifespan.
Exactly. If you look at
Express Entebbe. Lwatandise okujjamu ebinya.
Naye lwatandise okujjamu ebinya.
Lwatandise okujjamu. It is
In how many
surprising.
years?
In how many years? Mazima ddala.
With the money we spent on it.
And it is the most expensive road.
This is Uganda for you.
Around February 10th, a coffee agreement was signed between the government of Uganda and Uganda Vinci Coffee Company. The deal awards Vinci exclusive rights to process and export Uganda coffee, sidelining Uganda coffee farmers. At the center of the deal waliwo Enrica Pinetti. Kakati ono omukyala yajja mu Uganda ng'agenda kuzimba eddwaliro ly'e Lubowa. Eddwaliro terina gwe yadde okuva ku wanene okuva baguyita Musingi abuukidde kofi. Naye era omukulembeze w'eggwanga yavaayo n'ategeeza nti that lady was not even interested in coffee. It is me who interested her. Why are you even castigating her? So now you know. Kati coffee yayimiriramu tetumanyi oba bakyagendera ku mitendera gye gyaliwo n'eddwaliro ly'e Lubowa terizimbibwanga. And this woman ayagala rights zonna nange oba onootunda emwanyi alina okujja n'alaba ate buli mwanyi ebintu bingi nnyo naye saagala yo topic tugibeereko nnyo nina topic gyeyagala twogereko ey'omukulu Chief Justice Owiny Dollo ogenda visiting Mengo ng'agenza okwa-apologizinga. That happened in March. Ati tujja sendyayo story yaffe kuba nayo yali mu March bajja ne batradinga njagala tutegeere batambulirako mukyosizaamu mu nkola yammwe ebyabakwasa bikyagenda mu maaso ensonga ezabakwasa mwazimanya naye njagala mu commentingeko ku nsonga ey'omukulu Chief Justice Owiny Dollo ogenda okuvisitinga Mengo nga apologizingira Buganda Kingdom olwa comments ze yakola ku Kabaka Ronald Muwenda Mutebi ow'okubiri olw'okuba nti yatambulizibwa oba yaflyingibwa mu presidential jet for kugenda for medical treatment abroad. Awo nno Abaganda bavaayo ne nga bakambula ne bagamba mwenga ba politician babawa sente ez'okugenda ebweru ne baba treating nga tetuboogerangako. Naye lwaki ovaayo ku Kabaka n'oyogera? By the way, around March 20th, Speaker of Parliament Katiled Jacob Oulanya yafa era ono yafiira mu ddwaliro eyo mu US after a long illness. Nene ebigambibwa ku bulwadde bwe byali awo nga bitankanizibwa tebitegeerekeka. Kakati March 25th Anita Among n'alondebwa nga Speaker wa Parliament era yakyaliko. Kati March 31st omukulu Chief Owiny Dollo Chief Justice n'agenda Mengo gamba naye temutaze netonze nibye nayogera amenyawo. Kati n'omuntu weyeebuuliza, when does one come out and make a statement and I will stand by it? Was it pressure nti Owiny Dollo yavaayo nakola statement zaali za kisiru oba yagenda okwetonda eri Buganda Kingdom lwa pressure? Omanya Abaganda balina engeri gye bakolako ka pressure kubanga ekikwata ku Kabaka waabwe bavaayo no n'atategeera Kabaka alondebwa atya oba Kabaka kituufu alina okuweebwa eyo treatment. For as long as it is about their Kabaka, they will come out with all fire blazing nga baagala nakukulya. So ngenda tandika this time tandikira wa Rogers. Was it right for Chief Justice Owiny Dollo gende Buganda okwetonda ku statements ye kenyini nze njagala okugiza ntanywa mwenge ze yakola nga ategeera
niba wagunywa
no hizo gamba naye
yali under influence
omutamivu n'alinyirwako emandwa abantu abo baba bazibu bakwesiga ayizo ko kigamba jjajja Mukasa ye yabadde wait was not me so no mutamivu ayizo gamba I was drunk so intoxication. So statements zibana imusonyiwe sali mu mbeera zange ez'obuntu entuufu naye ono ye yavayo nazogera mu kamera ate omuntu y'omu n'agenda ne yeetonda kati kiwa image ki eri justice system ne Uganda at large.
I for one, as an individual, I think Okwetonda wouldn't have been a problem.
Why did he make the statements in the first place?
I think what was wrong with him is to make a statement that this Kabaka of a whole kingdom was given a state aid. I think that wasn't fair. I think that he did not think that out. Because even if it was me, if the president deemed fit, she can give me anything. And she can give any help. He can do anything. Even if you're sentenced to death, a president can give you a pardon. Only the president. But even, I think, coming from the leader of a whole arm of government, I want to hope that he was speaking that as an individual, Winyedoro, not as Chief Justice of the Republic of Uganda.
When do we separate the two?
Because I think, of course now the problem is one, that when it comes to news, to the people, to the public, you are the Chief Justice. There's just no line between you and the Chief
that
Justice.
is a fact.
It is you. It is you who is the Chief Justice. So there's nothing like the difference. But I don't know. Maybe we should always give a disclaimer of now I am speaking as an individual.
I am not speaking as the Chief Justice.
Do not hold me for what I say on the office of the Chief Justice. I am speaking as an individual. But I think that was ill-conceived as an individual. He shouldn't have said that. And I think as an individual, it was only fair that he goes and apologizes to the kingdom, because that was actually causing a very big rift between him and actually the whole judicial system and even the government and the kingdom of Uganda. And you know, obviously, people and their kingdoms, culture is very important to people. A lot of people even speak, even without facts, if it's about their kingdom, if it's about their culture leader. And well, it is one thing for people to speak without facts, but also I think it's also justified that if you come for one of ours, you're coming for all of us. And so we must come at you. I think that is how it works. But apologizing was in order, I think. He should not have said those statements.
No.
He's saying Rogers.
No, I want to disagree with Rogers from the word go about this issue. You were saying that he apologized as Owinyedoro, not the Chief Justice. And I asked the question, when do we separate the two? From the person in office and
Chief Justice
when?
Uganda.
I want to look at how it all started and what caused him to apologize. It started from Seattle, where Jacob Oranya, the late, was. And the people who were demonstrating outside the hospital where he was were mostly the Baganda. That's what they told us. And even in the videos, they were chanting and making noise, because you would easily identify that they were the Baganda people. And because of the anger, remember, the Chief Justice and the late Jacob Oranya are Achoris. You understand?
Yes.
Now we talk about the same tribes and the grouping, ethnicity, like you're saying about the Baganda. Because these people were chanting and demonstrating because one of the Achoris was given treatment that is actually under the laws of Uganda, because when you're in that office of the speakership, you have that medical insurance and you have to be taken care of on the expense of the government.
Yes.
But most of the people, like you talked about it, they lack information, and most of them are ignorant about such issues. That when you are a speaker, when you are a Chief Justice, when you are a judge, when you are an MP and you fall sick, it is the state and the government to take care of your bills. Whether in Uganda, whether abroad, but it is on the expenditure of the government. They did not know and they lacked information about that. They were demonstrating because somebody is fighting for their life. The way Jacob Oranya was taken here, may his soul rest in peace, was not in a good state. And actually, what they talked about is that he wanted to die from Uganda, but because of the influence of the Honorable Maos and the Chief Justice, they convinced him so that he can be taken for a better treatment, which was good for every other person, because nobody wants to lose a friend or a relative or a father because they are lacking better treatment where it is actually provided for, that the government has to take care of them. That was so bad. So when the Chief Justice looked at demonstrations and the intentions behind the demonstrations, where the people who were demonstrating were claiming that the speaker is being treated with taxpayers' money, that's when he made the statements about the Kabaka. You understand? Did the Baganda come to apologize for making demonstrations in Seattle about the Acholi person who was bedridden, who was almost losing his life?
Not
Did
the
they
Baganda
make
who were demonstrating don't hold any positions in Uganda here. So really their statements do not matter.
No, but we are looking at the cause.
Actually, you would have said did Chagulanyi apologize because he made statements.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. And Chagulanyi is in Uganda, is in Uganda.
Here is what I was saying, Gato. my saying that the Baganda, I am not saying that they were right to have demonstrated.
Yeah.
I think
You are
okay,
saying that the apologizing was okay.
was in order. Yes,
And this is where I'm coming, Roger. I think I should
So
first
for you,
finish.
feel
I should first finish and then you can come.
Okay.
shouldn't have
Before the chief
apologized.
justice apologizing, we are looking at, you see, in
the
law, there is
cause.
what we always, there are tests that we use in determining whether this person is actually did something that was illegal or legal. There is what we call the but for test. But for the actions of the Baganda demonstrating in Seattle caused the Chief Justice to make statements about the Kabaka of Buganda. So it was a win-win situation. And I want you to look at this issue. The Chief Justice led the judiciary in Uganda. And on the other side, we have the Kabaka who is heading the Baganda. As a kingdom.
A cultural institution.
A cultural institution in the same country, the same government in Uganda, whose legal issues are handled by the Chief Justice, who's at the head of the judiciary. We have had so many states where the Kabaka has been taken to court. Which courts are headed by the Chief Justice? What do you expect where a person of the Chief Justice now is coming to apologize for a single person who is being... No. I am. No. Let me first finish my statement and you also give in your opinion. This is my personal opinion. And I wanted to take it on a legal basis. That where a matter is taken before the Chief Justice and he's in his seat as the Chief Justice, Owinyedoro, and this is the person he went and apologized to, don't you think that we shall face a conflict of interest? No, you see where I'm getting my point from. From the word go. It's not the first time
Naye, but our side is Owinyi Ani Olanya. His issues were political. Kabaka wa Buganda, he's a cultural leader. A
cultural leader supported by politicians.
No, because ba leading, amani politicians. Owinyido yalina kuleta situation Olanya is a
generalizing it. Rogers, those Farida generalizing it. We have had so many MPs on the opposition side in Gabarwad. And they are thrown out of this country to get treatment. Did you see anybody demonstrating? Did you see anybody demonstrating that they are being treated on the taxpayers' money?
So do they have demonstrated?
Robert Kyagulanyi we yabereranga mbaka we Kyadondo East. Tebamutwara mu US. Did anybody demonstrate that?
No.
You see, we should always do things having a humanity sense in our service.
No, the thing is...
And that's why we get a problem when it is on a person who is in government and is NRM, whether sick or not sick, the opposition will come and make noise. But when it is on the side of the opposition and they are also fighting for their lives, then that's normal. But we should not always favor one side, no.
I have actually not favored one side. You probably got some...
You are favoring one side. You are favoring one side. We would have had the Baganda also headed by the same person like the leader of NUP who made the statements about Jacob Oranya, also apologize on the people who are demonstrating in Seattle so that we balance the equation. Because now when an issue becomes before the Chief Justice and Kabaka is being tried in court, what do you expect? Which decision do you expect from the person of the Chief Justice?
No.
Would she again come to apologize that whatever I said in court, I am very sorry, that was said in court?
Apology ya Chief Justice yali eyagala kuteekawo emirembe wakati we ne Buganda Kingdom. So tetulowooza nti ate akyalina akasajja ku mutima nti kambalinde mu kooti bajja kundaba. Negunaaba tegubasinze gujja bakamu.
But kye kyamuleetera okugenda kwetonda, wasn't it the pressure from the Baganda? So what if gajine emisango katugambe ejirimu ettaka? No, Farida katugambe gajine emisango ejiri mu nsonga z'ettaka and the Kabaka is being tried in court. That Chief Justice wajja n'akola the same decision. Or any other judge, not even the Chief Justice. Isn't there, because you have now set a precedent that bwe bakuteeka ku pressure ojja kuvaayo weetonde. Kati bajja kuleeta omusango because the case has merits and the Chief Justice or another judge will give his decision depending on the merits and the evidence on table. naye Baganda because they have set their precedent bajja muteekako pressure addeyo naera ajja kwetonda because of giving a decision.
Respectfully, let me disagree. Respectfully.
No, that's my opinion.
Yes,
and it creates a lot of sense by the way.
I have no problem.
A lot of it.
I have no problem.
Farida toshiraba wama weba kuteekako pressure nejja ne weetonda for the statements you made because you are the same Chief Justice.
So
but if they bring a case before you, the case has merits and you give judgment against the Kabaka, won't the Baganda still make
does it mean
the same pressure on you and that will force you to come and
does it mean that when you're in the office of the Chief Justice you do not make mistakes?
You can make mistakes. You can make mistakes.
That means the robo
but because of the position you
so
hold,
you do not
apologize.
Have you seen the president come to apologize to anybody?
He recently
he made mistakes.
But he is not the president.
On behalf of his son, in fact, not even his own son.
Apologizing to a nation of Kenya.
But Owinyi was apologizing to a kingdom. Kato.
No, Kato.
Did the kingdom come also and apologize because of its because
Kabaka yavayo nakola statements ku
Kabaka represents the Baganda. Isn't he the leader of the Baganda? Did he apologize on behalf of his descendants or what? Subjects. Did he apologize on behalf of the subjects? So why did the Chief Justice come to apologize? And did he actually command for Did he command for an apology on behalf of the Wacholi?
Demonstrated in Seattle teyabagamba ko mugende mu kolechi demonstrate. Yes, the whole situation is a chenda abantu yandetedde abantu okulowooza before they make certain statements. Like you
that
have
is
first think about
that is a take home point.
That
is a take home point.
Yes, you have to think about
but
because
still, if I was the Chief Justice at the time, if I was the Chief Justice,
the Kabaka of Uganda, next time you will be
apologizing. You'd not have apologized.
The other time he will be apologizing to an MP. The other time he will be apologizing to everybody, and he will lose sense of himself being the Chief Justice. To me, and if I was the Chief Justice and I made the same statements, I would maintain them and repeat the same statements because this is not a one-sided story. But for the actions of the Baganda in Seattle caused this statement.
First listen. Kato. I think we'll wait because a good thing you gave it a very good background. Now I'll base on your background. You said that when the late Jacob Bolanya was hospitalized, the Baganda demonstrated that he's being treated on
taxpayers' money.
On their money, and that was wrong. Yes, that was wrong. Now the Owinyi Doro came out of emotions and made statements he should not or he would not otherwise have made. Because it is a good thing that you gave it a tribal background. That the other one was
Acholi from Acholi,
and this is Baganda, and on the tribal lines, these ones made this, the other ones also made
this,
and it is only fair that you are going to naturally feel like you should defend one of your own because there was even good reason. Yeah.
You should also say that the demonstrations were based on emotions.
And first wait. The demonstrations, because you're the ones who said you're the one who said that most of the opposition leaders have been taken out, and they have been.
And that's a fact.
And no one has demonstrated.
That's a fact. Yes.
So first listen a little bit. When these ones also demonstrated, out of emotion, the Chief Justice also made statements.
Out of emotion.
Out of
emotions because
yes,
exactly.
And he made I do not think as an individual that he made those statements in representation of the institution of government, the judiciary. Yes, when he was speaking, he spoke as an individual of the Chief Justice.
Yeah.
Or the individual of himself.
Of himself,
not Chief Justice, yes, of himself. Out of emotion, like I said. And the people who were demonstrating against Olanya were people who were subjects. Now I'll ask you. You are, for example, Mnyankore. Imagine every Mnyankore went doing a lot of things. Would you be apologizing for each one of them? Because you are Munyankole.
I am not in a position and they are not my subjects now.
No, because you
On the same example you are giving.
identify
On
with
the same
them.
example you are
It's
giving.
only fair that you represent.
No,
because you feel that-
Senga abanyankole netonda
because you feel like-
babanange
But you are putting me in a position that I don't hold.
No, you don't. No, I'm giving an example.
They are not my subjects. And I
but
will...
you are one of them.
Rogers,
You are
first
one of
listen
them.
to my...
No, I understand.
Borrowing
I
from
understand
the
your
same
knowledge.
example.
I understand your knowledge.
Borrowing from the same example. When do we separate the person, actually the Kabakaship of Buganda and the person of Ronald Mwenda Mutebi? When?
I think he's...
Because we compare the two.
Yes.
Chief Justice tumuje mu ntebe ya Chief Justice tumuteke nga Owinyidoro atuule wano wentudde. No Kabaka tumuje mu Bwakabaka tumuteke nga Ronald Mwenda Mutebi atuule wano. And we separate the
you
two.
see, the difference is one. The Chief Justice is an individual who heads an institution.
How about the Kabaka?
The Kabaka. Now let me ask you.
kabaka talondebwa azaalibwa chief justice alonde
And apart
njawulo
from that,
ntandise kugikuwa mpolampola sikyo kabaka wa buganda talondebwa azaalibwa nga bamanyi oyo omwana
Ne bamanyi agenda kuba kabaka, yes.
kyekyo
Okay.
chief justice alondebwa n'ateekebwa mu kifo ky'abaalimu nga chief justice kati bw'aba ali mu kifo ekyo omulimu gwe talina ku promotinga tribal statements zonna because abantu aba appearinga before him tiba side emu bagenda kubeera babasoga abaganda kati bw'atandika okuwa side kitegeeza nti when you appear with an attorney he's going to favor his own.
But Farida, let me tell you this. Now I should give you some history about these two tribes. And it is not the first time they are colliding.
But what we wanted
even when
him
the
is-
late president
N'atera kyetwali tumusuubiramu.
Milton Obote we
Sikukuma
yafa
muliro.
n'abaganda tebamugana n'okumuyisa wano mu Bwakabaka bwa.
Sikukuma muliro mugubadde guli
Okay,
ways
but-
ku coming around the situation. Tetumusuubira a person of his office kubeera nga promoting a tribalism.
Yeah,
and
that is taken.
Imagine Kabaka was apologizing for every single thing.
Mazima omuganda kyakoze.
Because they are his subjects and he's a
So who are
representative.
the subjects of the Chief Justice?
Who are the subjects? No, that is not a hereditary.
Exactly.
That means he had
But
to
he
apologize.
still holds the same office. No, anyway.
Office ya chief justice
Nze kireeteddemu sense eno.
eno ku office ya kabaka wa Buganda.
Farida Tochisoso was a word.
No, so she's
We shall not agree on that
Sikusowaza.
one because the
Just
Kabaka.
office ya chief justice.
No,
You
the
cannot
Kabaka.
compare office ya Owinyidoro n'ogiteeka wali n'ogiteeka ku
Because the Kabaka
wa
appears
Buganda.
before the Chief Justice and he will bow down and be humble,
He
calm
did not.
himself
No,
down.
kabaka talina
Unlike the
kwagala.
Chief Justice in his position as the Chief Justice.
Owinyidoro, not as Chief Justice. He can do that. Anyone, even the
No.
president can.
But to say, ndowooza opinion yange Rogers Ogifunye and the says I am bringing it in.
Tetugifunye.
Pressure,
No, I
when you
understand
keep
that
on bowing the,
but it's not-
when you
in
keep
my
bowing
opinion-
on to the pressure, we shall have injustices
Pardon.
committed by the same office of the Kabaka, and the Chief Justice will be in his seat adjudicate to the matters caused and the atrocities may be caused by the people from the Buganda, and because of that pressure we shall have the same decisions.
Nze
Twist a
kyenjagala
little bit.
ogamba mu
That is the only sense
mweno
me
yonna
I'm
argument
bringing it
tetulinayo
in.
nti
I-
abantu abalina offices nga you hold offices of power always think about
Think
the
about
statements.
what you're going to make
what
and
I-
their
that's what I
impact.
was going to say.
And
But
that
don't
impact-
make it today and tomorrow you are coming to apologize because we shall see you as somebody who is losing meaning
No one
in
is
that
saying,
in
no
that
one is saying you
office.
should be apologizing anytime. What we are saying is only what she just said, our lesson.
But we have
That when
understood
you
his
represent-
weakness that he
that
bows
when
to
you
pressure.
represent an institution, you must watch whatever you speak because anyone cannot differentiate between you as an individual and the institution you represent. Imagine the Kabaka had said those statements that his subjects made. Wouldn't the Kabaka
Against
I
that.
don't
would
know.
it
Do
be
you
fair-
think he would
it be
apologize?
fair- Would it be fair that he apologized? Do you think it would be fair?
That one now depends on the individual and the
Why does it-
personality of each person.
Exactly.
But
Why does
Rogers,
it-
you have seen people who make. I gave you the example of the president himself. Did you see MK come and apologize for the statements he made?
The father
About
The
Kenya.
father apologized.
the president, even not even.
So
the-
why
The
would
president
it-
of a whole
So why
country
would the
apologize?
Chief Justice not
On behalf of
apologize
the
and
son.
get some other person from Acholi to apologize?
Is he Kato?
We need to
Chief
move on from
Justice
this.
are representing Acholi.
Ate Museveni are representing MK.
No, mwana we.
Ndowooza tuve kwa hiyo
We need
boss.
to move
But
on from point.
but I've
That-
made
that-
my points and opinions clear. But
No.
to say
No, right.
we should pick lessons from this one.
I think we agree on
Because
one thing.
when you admit and bow to pressure every time, we shall face the
That
same
wasn't
challenges.
pressure, Kato.
Bowing to pressure.
We agree on one time.
We are here. Let
that,
us
that
watch.
anyone who represents an
Rogers,
institution
we are here. Let us watch.
should watch whatever they
And
are
we have
doing
cases
and what they are
against the
saying.
Kabaka in the
Tito.
same courts. You have cases against the Kabaka in the same courts by his subjects. We are here. You will see. And you will see the noise that will come out when the decisions come, not in the favor of the Kabaka and Buganda.
But the decisions
We are here
will
to
be
watch.
final, so we do not expect to see the Chief Justice.
How about
come in
when
and
the
apologize.
pressure comes in? Because you have already showed them that you bow to pressure. You get? This is where I get my
Oh,
argument from.
should we also conclude that Museveni bows to pressure?
Pressure from who?
She recently apologized.
Decisions, go Kato.
Did you see his apology now? Was it even in good faith? He was trying.
So how do you determine that when Dolo's apology was in good faith?
And that's a totally...
The person who moved from his office.
Yes, I know kubanga yachikola because of pressure nasi kubanchi yali awulira ku mutima.
we need to move to other stories.
Let us go to other stories, Farida. Seriously, though.
Mu April twalina birthday run around April 23rd. We had a birthday run celebrating our first son, Mahozi Kainerugaba. Around 24th, we saw the London President Kagame nga yingiddeko mu Uganda wano nga zo celebrating birthday ya first son. Era emikujjuko byali biyitirivu nnyo ku State House awo Entebbe ne tugenda okulaba nga celebrations zivudde e Kampala zigenze mu bitundu ebirala ebya Uganda. Naye yo topic tetugenda kujyogerako because I only have 10 minutes to wano. Jagala mu commenting ku arrest ya mwe. Kati mwayiga muki, what are the lessons you learned from it? Did you change mwategeera ebyabakwasa and then you are doing all what it takes okuba nti mubyewala oba mwe temutya danger?
That guy. Well, it was an unfortunate event. I have two sides. One, I cannot celebrate a misfortune that it was. But I actually am grateful for that experience. Mostly for one reason. That you get to understand what actually people are going through. And that things are actually happening. They are not just news that are going around. You see, like I was giving an example earlier about the clergy who are saying, we hear. Yeah, we understand from the fact experience that those things are actually happening. People are being abducted. People do not even know what they are abducted for. People have been arrested for years and they do not know why. Their families don't know where they are. So as an individual, it is only fair that when I am speaking about an issue such as that, I am speaking from a point that
From an informed
point,
view.
experienced
Yeah.
for that matter. So I have the conviction of these things actually happening because it happens to me. It happened to me. It's going to happen to people I love, to people, my friends, to my families. So I have a good reason to speak about it. And you did ask if, with the experience, if we have since decided I cannot speak about certain things, I cannot do this. See, it's like saying that because probably a brother of mine died in an accident, I cannot buy a car because I could die in an accident. Some things are not avoidable. It's going to happen either way because, like we said, anyone can be a suspect. Yeah, you can even say something or someone can take
and
they will take you. So one way, there is no way of avoiding it, but two, I can also not avoid it because it, like I said, it's affecting me and it could affect anyone around me. And it's only, I think it's only fair to, even if you, I don't want to sound very patriotic, but I also think it's only fair that you die for things you believe in.
Yeah.
I think that is only fair. That you're not killed or persecuted for rumors or for wrong things. It's not that I am a criminal for that matter. It is to the effect that what I am doing and what I am saying is actually happening, and it is not right to be happening. So I should be speaking about it. So I do not have a remorse for what, the event that happened to us. I think we are literally quite doing the same things. You have to kwasa because you know, as we were all there, everyone was having different things. One would ask who funds you, another one will ask why are you doing that? I mean, you look like
what you're doing.
You look like the people who are in power, so you feel like betraying one of your own. I was like, but the people in power, if it was an issue of identification, they are not giving me a share of the loot.
You're not getting a share.
I am not benefiting. So if I am one of
somebody
them,
who is in power,
if they feel like me doing what I'm doing is betraying them, then what they are doing also is betraying me.
betraying you.
omukolo mukose Anthony agamba n'okutuuka olwaleero etamanyanga kyabakwa.
Honestly speaking, I don't know. I still don't know.
But to say ekyokugamba nti oba twakyusa bye twali tukola, I don't think we are doing anything that was illegal.
Yeah.
And to say that Nga Rogers bwakyogedde that at least now when we are talking about such abductions we talk from the experience point of view. We are not now like the other people who say we hear. No. We are no longer people who are hearing about it, but we are people who experienced it and people who know what we are talking about. And it has given us so many lessons because the experiences we went through are teaching us a lot of things. And it tells you that, like so many other people have talked about it, you can be kidnapped or abducted today, be in a safe house for 3-4 days, and then arrested for 2 days. Before the 48-hour rule elapses, then you are paraded before court, and you will see the state attorneys and in court and saying that we arrested this person yesterday. And when you had, like your example, you said the state attorney claiming that we arrested these people yesterday, and we have, before even the 48-hour rule elapses, they are in court. So we are doing the best. So that's something that the rest of the viewers can know, that abductions happen. But even when you're abducted, you can be abducted for a week and then arrested for 2 days and paraded before court and remanded.
You can be abducted for a year.
And then arrested for a day, paraded before court, and remanded. So they happen. And from experience and where we were being, I don't know whether detained or kept or I don't know the right word to use. It wasn't safekeeping. Because Rogers, at least me and Rogers, you know that wasn't safekeeping.
It was not. It absolutely was not.
We found so many other people, and from their experiences and the stories they would give us, you found people that had been arrested before we went for the elections, and they were asking you genuinely and very sadly wanting to know who is now the president, what happened in the political arena. That's how funny it was. You get my point? So that means that there are people. That means that there are people who had been there for over a year, because a person who didn't know who was the president in 2022 March, it means they had been there for more than a year. Yes. And then another thing to say is that if you feel that what you're doing is right, then there is nothing that should stop you from keeping on doing the right thing and what you believe in. Yeah. Then to say nature that the security personnel and agencies, I think Nzincho get us so many times that they need refresher courses. Because when we were abducted, I thought that they had made investigations to know that we committed such and such an offense, and that's why we were being abducted and maybe arrested. You get? But to our surprise, that they had not even a single information about who Rogers is, what they are doing. So they had no information at the end of it all. Now that brings the issue of the qualifications and experience of the investigative officers that we have in a country. Even in the interrogation, as they were trying to interrogate you, they had no sparking points that they would base their interrogations on. Like they said, they would ask, what makes you do what you're doing? And you ask, now what do I do? Should I go home and start farming? Is it bad to be here and serving, for example, from alternative Digitalk? And the questions of you, Mnyankore, what makes you not support the government? And as if commenting about what is not going on good and what is being done bad by the government, talking about it makes me a criminal. And the offenses that were charged against us, I don't know whether these officers surely know what they are doing. Because the offense of sedition that was charged against all of us, because that was the first one, sedition, that was outlawed so many years in Andrew Mwenda and Charles Onyango Bokes versus the Attorney General. And this officer is busy writing, he's being charged on the offense of sedition. You get?
Yeah.
So this world is so many people and we cannot tell how we have to be as a nation. But this is an officer who's charging more than, I should say, 20,000 people. And they are charging them offenses they are not even sure of whether they are still offenses under the law, or whether they were at road at some point, or whether they have evidence to convict you on the same offenses. Because now if they charge us with sedition and we are paraded before court, what would court stay there?
Omusango twagudde ekyo twabisijja
Tekukyali musango and you are set free.
So you are now free.
So they are creating a lot of problems to the nation itself. Because when you charge me, actually when you arrest me unlawfully, then it means I have a cause of action against you. And you know who pays for the damage? It is the taxpayer. Because when we bring a cause of action against the government and we win the government will compensate us. Do you know who will pay? It's me and you, the taxpayer. And paying for the inconveniences and the incompetencies of the operatives.
I think a lot of us are acting in ignorance, especially the government. I don't know how an investigative officer, at least if you have a team, have a legal person on the team. One who advises you or tells you, look, this is suspects for that matter.
that one I will not say because they were saying that we are being charged of sedition, annoying the person of the president, and
I don't. Well, is it
annoying the person of the president, and which was the other offense? It was no. I'm forgetting. There were 3 offenses. It was
cyber stalking.
Cyber stalking the person of the president through the Digitalk channels.
How did they interpret cyber stalking? I don't remember cyber stalking.
So cyber stalking.
What
is cyber stalking?
It is using a computer or any other electronic device to stalking, but we should simplify it in Uganda. Kulondora kumutambulirako kati twalitambulira ku president Museveni ne first family buli kyakola kati kikometingako. That is the cyber stalking. Those are the offenses and I think
and how, where is it written that you have annoyed the president and it has become a crime?
From the presidents, because you have had people charged for annoying the person of the president. Yes.
We have.
It is an offense, yes.
Wow.
Annoying the person of the president. But now the first family is an issue. Annoying the person of the president, yes, it is a crime. But now annoying the first family. And you know, it takes us back to the principles of legality. That is not an offense to annoy the first family, sure.
But it is an offense to annoy the
person of the president. Yes.
I don't even think it's an offense. I think it was also made up to convict someone.
Of course, it was made up to
culminate. It was made up in similar circumstances. So I don't even think it is real. Except that we have only now, it has become a tradition and we feel comfortable saying that now that
he's interested in
now it will become law and he will give orders and he will be remanded
it became a
and convicted at the end of it. Also to say those were a few experiences that we have managed to talk about today, and I want to say thank you our viewers for always following us and watching with us. I guess we shall be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
We shall be here tomorrow, and I want to say that as we continue to celebrate the festive season, let us be responsible people. We should not drink and drive, and driving is two-way. There is this driving of a motor car and the other driving, but we should all be careful when driving, whichever way you want to drive. And to say that the festive seasons are not the end of our lives.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of many years to live and a lot of experiences, and enjoy your festive seasons and have a lovely day. For today, I'm Kato Tumsime.
Rogers.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today. It has been a great honor to speak about a number of these things. I think most of them we believe in, otherwise we would not be here in the first place. But mine is for the coming year mostly. We are coming to another year, and I hope that is a better year for all of us. But also, make some resolutions. It is one thing to not accomplish your resolutions, maybe because there were obstacles, but I think it's also important to have set goals, make sure what you're working towards. Just so to make sure that you're not working recklessly or doing, maybe like Kato said, you'll not be driving recklessly because you'll have goals to achieve. So you feel you should be arrived by then. So I think mine is mostly to caution us to also be careful on the number of things we are making, but also be intentional about things we are making to make sure that, one, we change ourselves, but I also think it's important that the community we live in will work to make it better. Because eventually, even if you're doing well, if your neighbor is not doing well, it is very likely that your grandchildren will not do well. So it's important that as a community we progress all together, and it's also important to speak about things that are happening to people, even if they are not your people. It is mine today, tomorrow it is yours. So you either speak and we would work on it collectively, or you keep quiet, my time ends, your time comes, and I will keep quiet, obviously. So I think let's be there, be each other's keepers. Thank you so much.
Mwebali nnyo abagenyi bange ab'olunaku ndowooza n'enkya mukeereeko kubanga tumazeeyo mwaka
mwaka tukyalina
so
bingi
tukyalina emyezi miyitivu okulaba issues ezikoze amawulire in this whole year. Naye nga njagala bakubiriza abali mu kuva mu byalo banaye muvuge bulungi. Obubenje bususse mu makubo, naye obubenje, I was traveling to Jinja on the 24th. Bannange twasinga n'obubenje obusoba mu butaano. As in accidents, inga kilometers 10 osanga accidents, kilometers 10 you find an accident. Abantu bafa ko 24th. I do not know logically want abantu bafa nnyo mu nnaku enkulu abavugisa kimama oba excited.
Actually, one of our person that was also battling and also died
in an accident. Oh yeah, that's
bana emotoka emu yali efiridemu abantu batano nga bona ba family. So nebuuza osobola okuvuga empola empola notukalate.
People get too excited.
Okuvuga speed notoka atama ulire nega kusoka ye wamwe n'ababadde bajja ku Christmas bafudde. It is not really good. Bana imuvuge mpola mpola temunywa osobola okunywa n'otula mu motoka emabege n'onywa omwenge gunne bakuvuga nenga babadde balabi balungi sinkana olunaku olw'enkya essaawa egenda kubeeremu yennyini ey'okumakya ng'ate tutunuulira issues oba ensonga ezikoze amawulire mu mwaka guno gwa 2022 nga bwe tutunuulira ogumalako tuyingire omwaka 2023 with all the energies and the excitement. Ate ne goals zaffe tuzisetting twelabiro setting a goals for the new year ate n'okukola ennyo okuba nti okulaba nti tuzachivinga. See you. Have a good morning.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.